All right, so I want to set up a Windows DNS server. For this project, D2. Now the problem is you must have a Windows Server machine, and you cannot run that on ARM hardware unless you're willing to put up with it being incredibly slow by emulating Intel hardware. So what I'm going to use is a cloud machine because I have a Mac M1. So I went to the Google Cloud. I've got a Windows machine here, and I started it up. Now to connect to it, I have to use remote desktop protocol going to this address. The City College network blocks remote desktop protocol. So that's why we have the danger zone network in this room. That's outside so danger zone 1 with a password of danger zone with a capital D and a capital Z gets you unfiltered internet. So I should be able to reach this machine. I copy that address, and now I need a remote desktop client, and for a Mac it's Microsoft Remote Desktop. And so if it's not here, which it isn't, I'm just going to add a new PC. Okay, and I have to put in the IP address where it says name, because remember the rule with all Microsoft products is everything is always named the opposite of what it is. And for user account, I may be in trouble. Let me fix that. I think I can reset the password here, because I have no idea what the password is. Oh, it's good, set Windows password, good. So Sam_bound, that's good. And the password it creates will be some horrible thing. There it is, just a horrible bunch of punctuation marks and stuff. Okay, so I should be able to log in with that. So let's just try connecting. There it is. Okay, this is good. So the username is Sam_bound, and the password is this horrible mess of punctuation marks. And this is good. It now warns me something about the certificate, which is normal. And now I get a desktop, a Windows desktop. Life is good. And this is now running on Intel hardware, which is what I need to run Windows Server, because Microsoft has not written a version of Server for ARM. They're in the early beta test. Server 2015 will have an ARM version, and there are some early versions of it out there, but they don't have the graphics at all. They're server core only, so they're pretty nasty. So, not practical yet. So let me go to my instructions. So once you're in, you want Wireshark. All right, let's put Wireshark on this thing. Now, if you have a server, one thing you have to do whenever you have a fresh Windows server is turn off this thing called Internet Enhanced Security Configuration. And it looks like I've already done that on this. Otherwise, you can't download anything. So you turn that off, and now you can reach the internet with Edge. And with Edge, I can get Wireshark. All right, which is Wireshark.com, I think, but we'll find out. I think that's the wrong one. Maybe it's Wireshark.org. Doesn't look right. I can never remember. That's the way it should look. Okay. All right. Windows 64, that would be fine. Okay. Get rid of this garbage. And, all right, the downloads has vanished on me. Let's go here. Downloads, all right. There's a Wireshark installer. Okay, good. All right. I just choose all the default settings, that's fine. And there we go, okay. A little strange and slow, but you can't have everything. All right. All right, well, that's going on. I'll check my instructions. So after this, I want to do an NS lookup. And I guess I'm not using Wireshark yet. Okay. Okay, good. All right. Okay. All right, well, I can actually be working ahead. Well, I'll wait for this to finish, but. Ooh, boy. Surprisingly slow. I might not have given this cloud machine as much RAM as it needs. Wonder what it's got. Let's see. Properties. 16 gigs of RAM. Should be moving better than this.
And
anyway.
The CPU count, you want to give it one CPU?
What's that?
The CPU count, how many CPUs do you give it?
Should have given it 4. That's what I usually do. That's what you need. Anyway, it's moving well enough. So let's get a command prompt here and change the font to be bigger. All right. And so now I do NS lookup, which is the Microsoft command line DNS for, say, msn.com. All right. And so it found a non-authoritative answer somewhere. This is a normal DNS lookup on a machine that is not a DNS server. It is a DNS client, just like your machine, and it asked some router at Azure or at Google what this should be. Now, if I do ipconfig to see my IP address, I will see my IP version 4 address is 10.128.0.20. Now, DNS servers are expected to have a static address, not a dynamically assigned address. And this is a dynamic address. If I do ipconfig/all, it should tell me that it's DHCP enabled somewhere here. Yep, DHCP enabled, yes. So that's not good. I need to have a static address. So I'm going to go back and get it. All right, somehow I can't scroll back up. What's the deal here? All right, I just need to make this window smaller. All right. And smaller yet. There we are. Now I can reach the scroll bar. All right, so I want to put this IP address on it, 10.128.0.20. I'm going to write it down somewhere because if I forget that, I'm going to lose connection to my machine. 10.128.0.20. And the default gateway is 10.128.0.1. And that should be all I need. Oh, this is important. The subnet mask is something unusual, 255.255.240.0. Okay, that's what I want it to be. So I'm going to assign it manually. Now, this is the all-important adapter page, and Microsoft constantly changes the clicks you need to do to get here, so my instructions are always wrong. And I realized I should just forget about using the GUI at all because Microsoft keeps changing it. Using the command line is the only thing that Microsoft doesn't change every year or two. And I think it's control, net connections. I think it might be net connections too. Let's see. Control net connections. Oh, you don't have control. Well, that's because I'm not on the Windows machine. Okay. Here. Control. Let's try control net connections. That gets you the window you need. And I'll update my projects to use this because Microsoft keeps moving the GUI, so it just drives you nuts to find it any other way. This is where you can adjust IP addresses. Hit properties. Okay, here's IP version 4. And right now it's automatic, but I want to make it manual to this address here. So it is 10.128.0.20. If you screw this up, you're going to lose the ability to connect to your cloud machine. So that would be annoying. Although I think you can still get to it from the console. The only thing you can do is destroy it and make another machine. 0.1. There, that should do it. And, oh, they're going to make me specify the DNS servers. I can't do them automatically, which is what I wanted to do. Well, that makes me a little nervous. Let's see what they are. They should be up here. DHCP, DNS, okay, 10.128.0.1, okay, that's what it usually is. I just wasn't sure that's what it would be. So it's 10.128.0.1, okay. So it looks good, so when I apply it, I will hopefully not lose connections in my machine. We will see. Uh-huh. Okay, it got disconnected. Now hopefully I can reconnect. Oh, good. All right. I did not lose my machine. So, good. Now it has a manual IP address. Now if I go to here and make this as big as I reasonably can. All right. And now I do Control-C, and let's get down to an empty one, Control-C. Okay. Whoa, what is all this garbage? CLS should clear the screen. All right, now ipconfig/all. There we are. Now, DHCP enabled no, and my addresses are now static. This is what you want for a DNS server. All right, good. So now we can try to resolve a domain name again. And, here, I wanted to put in 127.0.0.1. That was recommended at this step. Let's see if I can do that without losing connection to my server. I think I can. I'm just going step by step because I'm a little nervous in this cloud environment. So let me get back to my net connections, which was here. All right, let's make it use itself as a DNS server, DNS resolver. So that's here, and I want to put this to 127.0.0.1. Okay. 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 All right, and it doesn't hang up on me or anything, so that's good. But now, if I try to do an NS lookup, I won't be able to do it. NS lookup, ccsf.edu. It's going to time out. It tried to use this machine as a server, and it didn't get any answer, because this machine is not yet a DNS server. So right now, I've lost the ability to surf the web, although I'm still connected by IP address. So now we're going to add the DNS server role. So we go to Dashboard, Add Roles and Features. That is in, let's get rid of these extra things I don't need. I'd like to minimize this. Okay, there we are. This is Server Manager. And let's get rid of these extra things I don't need. All right, Dashboard, Add Roles and Features. Okay. Then next, select server role DNS server. So next. Yes. All right. And DNS server is the role, and I add features, and now it's got a check mark next to DNS server. And now it's just next, install. So let's make my machine into a standard DNS server. And install. There we go. This DNS server software from Microsoft is incredibly old, like from '93. And we will see some strange defects with it. But there we go. All right, and while that's going, then we'll try this NS lookup again, and we'll get an answer. And we'll observe it in Wireshark. Okay, whenever it's ready, and you see it's moving right along. All right, installation succeeded. Okay, close. So now, let's see if I can get rid of the dashboard. Good. All right. Now let's get back to the command prompt. All right. And let's try to do a DNS lookup. Trying to scroll this thing without much luck. Oh, it's already to the left. All right. Let's just move this over. All right. So now let's try NS lookup yahoo.com. And it found the address. So making it a DNS server, it's now able to resolve them. So my local host is now a DNS server, and it was able to go do a recursive lookup and find out the addresses of things. So I'm a functioning DNS server. All right. Now we can see how it does that by reserving DNS. So let's get Wireshark going. There's Wireshark. right, and there's an Ethernet adapter is the only one that matters, so I double click that, and now I'm sniffing, and of course I'm seeing a lot of RDP packets because I'm controlling it over the internet, so I filter for DNS. DNS, enter. Now I'll only see DNS tracker, and I'm gonna restart that to get rid of this old stuff. Okay, and now I'm gonna do an NS lookup of something I haven't looked at in a while. Let's try Microsoft.com. All right, and now we will see a series of queries done to do that resolving. And here you'll see them. All right, so here it is trying to get the response to Microsoft. Here's the query to Microsoft. And there's the A record and the quad A record coming back. And I'm not entirely sure what those other things were. They could have been something unrelated. But let's see. Now we're going to see a series of DNS requests to various servers. And the first destination address is going to be to a root server. And we'll probably find it here. This one here, probably 150.171. This is an issue. I mean, how did your machine know where to go to DNS? All we did was install DNS up. And the answer is that was a root hint. And you'll find them in the DNS manager. So I run the DNS manager and then look at the properties. So we go here for DNS. Now that I'm a DNS server, there's a DNS app to manage it. And if you right-click your server and go to properties, you get information about it. And the root hints are here, and there's the root hints. So it came with some IP addresses of the root servers already built into it by Microsoft. That's how you're able to do anything. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to find anything. It has to have a start, so it can go to the root, and from the root it can find everything else. So those addresses are going to be on this list somewhere. This is how it got all the other information that it had to make it into a DNS server. All right. And now we can use an authoritative DNS server. Let's find the authoritative server for City College. If I go back to my command prompt, okay, so I do NS lookup. And if I just do NS lookup, it's in interactive mode. Now I'm here. Now I can set type equals SOA. And then do ccsf.edu. And I'll get this primary name server. That's interesting. All right, ns3.ccs.edu is the same thing it used to be. That's nice. So now I can set type equals A and do that query there. So let's set type equals A and there. So ccsf.edu using ns3.ccsf.edu. Okay, and that should be an authoritative answer, and it is, because remember up here it said non-authoritative answer. This is an authoritative answer. It doesn't say non-authoritative anymore. I've trusted the one server that has the master data for CCSF to tell me this address. I'm not working with a copy of data. This is the original master record. All right, and so there's a flag defined there, and then you can do a reverse lookup. And we'll see how that goes. NS lookup, let's run Wireshark again and see how reverse lookup looks. So I'm going to start Wireshark again. All right, and then I'm going to do NS lookup of just a local address. Get out of here and do NS lookup of 192.168.1.1. Okay, and now this is one of the many things I've been promising to tell you. Well, what's wrong with Microsoft? 192.168.1.1 is a private address. No web server anywhere can have that address. No domain name on the public internet can ever be tied to that address. But Microsoft's domain server is too stupid to know that. So it is going to do a bunch of queries trying to resolve it on the public internet. And you'll find them here going to inadder.arpa, the stuff we were talking about. It sends a bunch of requests out there trying to resolve, sending a query, which is who has 192.168.1.1, which is too stupid for words. It's a private address. It cannot possibly be bound to any public server, and every Windows machine creates a bunch of these bogus queries when you boot it up, flooding the internet with useless questions to which there will never be an answer. And we'll talk about how to configure your DNS server not to do this. But by default, Windows machines do this so much that there are whole bunches of servers on the internet called black hole servers just to throw away all the garbage traffic from all the Windows machines in the world. And it's been this way for 30 years, and Microsoft never fixes their junk. It's one of the reasons why the internet people had a really bad attitude about Microsoft for a long time, and this is part of why they had the whole Linux superiority. Linux machines are better, Microsoft is trash. This is one of the many things Microsoft did to be a bad citizen of the internet. It's not considered that bad anymore because Microsoft has shaped up somewhat and Linux has shown its flaws too. But anyway, this is one of the many stupid things Microsoft does. And you can actually go to your server and configure local reverse lookup zones. So when your machine tries to resolve an address like this, it will not go on the internet looking for it. It will have an internal answer. This is how you configure it, so your machine will not do this anymore. You tell it, I have 192.168, you can resolve that locally. You don't need to ask anybody else. And this should be the default, obviously, but for some reason Microsoft still doesn't fill it in by default. Anyway, that's what I wanted to show you about the joys of a basic Windows DNS server. Let me stop this recording.